Love and happiness. Love and happiness. Oh.
And you're on the couch with Dr. K. I'm your hostess, Dr. K, here with the fabulous Preacha Tim, who is the expert on love and yapping and and no arguments. And we are asking the question, do you turn into someone no one wants to be around during football season? Are you a football fanatic? Do you ignore your mate? Do you gamble and use money you don't have to bet on sports? Do you neglect your duties? Are you really making your family and your loved ones absolutely crazy during the months of football season or any other season for that matter? I have two very wonderful gentlemen in the studio with me already. One who is an expert on love, and that's what we really need. We really need love when we're thinking about football season, because you must remember that at the end of the season, you still want to have that person that you love in the end. So I'm going to start with introductions with Preacha Tim. All right, yay!
Welcome.
Thank you for being here. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about everything you do.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to be here today. This is definitely an exciting moment for myself. Actually, first and foremost, I am the father of two beautiful daughters, and I actually am the pastor of the Higher Destiny Church, as well as an R&B singer-songwriter and producer.
Oh, wow. So you are varied in your talents and interests.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. And are you going to give a shout out to your two beautiful daughters?
Absolutely, absolutely. My two beautiful daughters. First and foremost, Kirsten Davis. She's actually 9 years old. She'll be 10 on the 18th.
Okay.
And I also have an 8-year-old, Coven Davis, who will be 9 on December the 12th. So we're actually
so
grateful.
You have two little ladies.
Yes, two little ladies.
I love those names. Okay, so tell us how you came to be a preaching R&B singer.
Well, actually, I've been singing, writing, and producing R&B music since I was 12. Actually, I started singing and writing at 12, and I started producing at 15. When I turned 27, I became a licensed and ordained preacher. And I took a little break from the music industry because for years I was told that you could not be a preacher and do that type of music. And so I went through a period where I allow other people to dictate what it is that I did in life. And so at some point, everybody has to grow up and become their own person. And as a result of that, I prayed about the situation, and God basically gave me the go ahead and say, hey, it's nothing wrong with what you do. Nothing that I sing, write, or produce about is derogatory. All of my music is basically geared towards love. And so
and God is love.
And God is love, absolutely. And so what I wanted to do was take R&B back to the place where it used to be, and that was during a time where R&B music was really about love. And at this point in time, R&B music really does not promote love like it used to, at least not the more popular versions of R&B music. At this point, it's more sexual driven or money driven or things of that nature. And so I just wanted to take it back to the days of the artists that I grew up around. I'm 35, so I'm definitely a Jodeci fan, Boys to Men, New Edition, groups of that nature. So I wanted to just take it back to the time when music really was about love, and that's what I do.
Okay. See, I thought you were going to say like Al Green.
Well,
or somebody
actually,
like that, because the Reverend Al Green was all about love, and he's preaching, and he also does R&B.
And you know what? Believe it or not just from a music perspective, but even from a moral perspective, Al Green definitely is someone that I look up to, because he was one of the first pioneers to show us that it is okay to stand for the Lord as well as do what it is that God has gifted you to do. And, even as a preacher, everybody can't be called to singing gospel music or church songs. God gives all of us different visions as it relates to life and ministry. So as a result of that, he's definitely somebody that I look up to. And most people don't know there's another guy that I look up to, Dave Hollister, from the group Blackstreet, which is another group that I definitely grew up admiring. Dave Hollister actually is a pastor now at a church in California, and he too, of course, we know is an R&B pioneer. So I mean, we have some guys out there that's really setting the tone for just being different and just being who you are and not being ashamed about what you do. So yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, thank you very, very much. I've seen people who seem to be very mild-mannered.
Right.
And then they get to a sporting event and they change into a werewolf. And I cannot understand what is happening. I mean, they are, and I'm not saying that you have to sit there like a church mouse, but they are using profanity, they're throwing stuff, they're yelling, they're screaming, and you are just mortified. You're just like, are you for real?
And you know what? And I do have to say this real quick. I just want to throw this out there, especially if you look at Dallas Cowboy fans. If you really look at how
you're gonna make the phone just ring
if you look at how they behave when they win as opposed to when they lose. I mean, those guys, when they lose, I mean, it's almost like suicidal to a certain degree. And that's not somebody that you want to hook up with. I mean, that person's crazy.
Are you saying you do not want to hook up with any Dallas Cowboy fans?
No, you just don't do that. You just don't do that. But a Pittsburgh Steelers fan is always, somebody that you want to hook up with.
Oh, my goodness.
Number one, because we're winners. And you want to hook up, you want to get on a winning team,
Dallas Cowboy fans, you hear that? Preacher Tim is basically saying you are not worthy, you're not dateable. Because you obviously have some problems.
Because they're bipolar. I mean, like when
my goodness.
Is it because they have one star?
Hey.
That could be...
Yeah,
could that be something? Because I know Pittsburgh, it's got 3 stars on their helmets. Right?
Well, yeah, and then we also have 6 rings. So
now
watch this. So ladies, watch this, ladies. I want to say this: if you if you date a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, you're more likely to get a ring.
Because they have lots of
rings. They have lots of rings to give out.
Randa. Randa is a cowgirl. She's going to get you when she gets here. We're going to look at our stats and facts in a few minutes here, which are always found by my super duper intelligent intern, Stanley Shotwell II. Thank you, Stanley. He's always great. Yeah, have to give Stanley a hand.
Oh, yeah,
Thank you,
Stanley. Go ahead.
Yay. He found some information for me, and we're going to look at it right now. I wanted him to just give me some general numbers about football and how many people are actually watching football, how much time is spent with football. So I'm going to put on my eyes here. So when we're looking at how many people are actually watching football, according to Adweek/Harris poll results, and these were released in October 2011, almost 2/3 of United States adults say they currently watch NFL football. That's 64%, including almost 3/4 of men, 73%, and more than half of women, 55%. Wow. Regionally, adults in the Midwest, 69%, are 23% more likely than adults in the West, 56%, to watch football. So if we break it down demographically, the poll results show men and blacks, I guess they mean African Americans, are the groups most likely to be pro-football followers. The poll indicates that 71% of men, but only 41% of women follow pro football. 72% of African Americans, but only 54% of European Americans and 51% of Hispanics follow pro football. I wonder why that is. Now, these are the mediums used to watch football. 6 in 10 U.S. adults say that they watch NFL football on their television, 60%, while fewer than 1 in 10 say they watch on a desktop or a laptop computer. That's only 8%. Smartphone, 3%, or a tablet computer, 2%. Only 6% say they watch games live, as in they attend the games in person. Now, see, that's what I would want to do. I would want to actually go to the game.
Yeah, I would too.
It's hard for me to watch it on television, but I can go to the game because that's an event to me.
Right, more activity involved.
Exactly, and you get to wear an outfit, so I like that part. Let's look at the time spent. Among the adults who say they currently watch NFL football on television, 6 in 10 say they spend 5 hours or less per week watching football during the NFL season, and that's 60%, while more than 1/4 say they spend between 6 and 10 hours per week watching, and that's 27%. Regionally, adults in the Northeast and men are more likely than adults in the South, West, and Midwest, as well as women, to watch between 6 and 10 hours of football per week, and that is 30 to 31% compared to 23 to 28%. In addition, 7% of Americans who watch NFL football say they spend 11 to 15 hours per week doing so, and 6% say they spend 16 hours or more per week watching football. And then the last little part here, which I'm glad you found this, Stanley, about fantasy football, which really don't know. Yeah, see, that's a whole nother animal there. 13% of Americans play fantasy football. Men spend more time on fantasy football than women do, 20% compared to 6%. And younger adults are more involved than those older. 22% of those 18 to 34 spend time on it compared to 15% of those 35 to 44, 8% of those 45 to 54, and 6% of those 55 and older. Interestingly, fantasy football seems to be much more popular or prevalent in the Northeast, as 19% of adults in the Northeast spend time on it, compared to between 10% and 12% in all other regions. Wow. So, what are you thinking about that, Felix? I mean, that's a lot of numbers there.
There is. I think the reason why the Latinos are lower in numbers is because they're really hungry.
Yeah.
So they go to where the money's at.
I know. I was about to say they have more sense than a lot of other people.
Although the NFL is considered the sport in the U.S., but the real money makers are the football Latinos know about, which is soccer. Soccer makes 50 times the amount of money, so they're more interested.
Wow.
So their players are, they own countries.
Oh, wow.
They make so much money. It's amazing. But, that's the reason why that number's low, because they love to watch soccer, and that's their sport.
What about baseball? Because I understand that baseball players are like phenomenally richer than football players or basketball players.
They are.
Like
That's that's the secondary
rich
sport. Baseball is like, that's what you end up doing,
if you can't play soccer.
If you can't play soccer. That's right. You got another sport.
Wow.
But I think that's what it is. Me personally, I love American football.
Okay.
So that's where I'm at. I don't become a monster. I like to watch monsters though.
It's kind of fun.
And they are good entertainment in any stage of it, whether you're at the stadium or if you're at the local bar, it's just it becomes, this is exciting for me. So I feel the energy already.
I understand.
Fall kind of like falls to the side a little bit, but once the main season starts, then I go in. I'm going to leave my team nameless right now. For fear of inciting some monster.
Some riots in here, because Preacha Tim has already started off talking bad about people.
But my team's got rings.
Okay.
There
They
you
have
go. Well,
rings.
as long as you got rings, then
got
you
rings.
I don't,
We got
you don't have to
rings.
tell me who it is. But
What about earrings? Does that count?
no, that
And,
does not
it's
count.
you gotta have the ring.
But and I'm sure it's like this in other cities as well. But even here in Memphis, they have even restaurants on Sunday nights that are basically geared towards certain teams. Like you may have an Applebee's that nobody but Dallas. I'm sorry, I hate to say that, but they have like Applebee's where only Dallas Cowboy fans hang out at.
Right.
And
exactly.
I really didn't
like
know
a
that.
gang.
Right, and I didn't know that until one day I went into Applebee's just to eat. And of course,
Okay.
I had a Pittsburgh Steelers shirt on, and everybody, you know how in the Pace Pecani's house commercial, and they said this stuff is made in New York City, and they're ready to hang them over.
New York City.
Right, and that's basically how everybody looked at me like, okay, what are you doing here? So yeah, definitely there are some individuals out there that take this all the way.
I had a situation like that once. I was on a road trip and we were stopping in Kansas City, and we started our trip. The weather was perfect, but I figured we're going south because we were leaving the north part, and it got cold. So on my way there, I wasn't playing, so I had to go inside the gas station, freezing a little bit, and I'm looking at shirts because when the season comes out, they have their rivals and they have their team sports. But I picked Oakland Raiders because when I was younger, I was kind of an Oakland type of guy because I loved the aggressiveness of their performance, their game. I love that. But little did I know that is their rival. And I walked into a pub that was similar to that Applebee's with the single star players.
Right. There you go. Single star. Make sure you keep saying that.
Oh, see, don't be like that.
And then at least they treated me well, but I could feel the pressure. Yeah, they were looking at me. They were looking at me.
You have to be careful. Let me tell you what some of our Facebook friends had to say. This is Innocent. He says, I am a football lover, but I do not neglect my duties, nor do I neglect serving God for it. So he thinks you should keep it in perspective.
Absolutely.
How do you feel? You're a preacher, and do you see a mass exodus on Sundays, or do you cut it short?
Well, you know what? What's interesting is that I've gone through periods where and this is the honest to God truth, during football season, I've actually had certain members to ask me, could I change service times in order that it does not interfere with the games. But then I also have those that say, okay, well, you know what? If I can't get to the house, I'll just pull up the stats on my phone in the middle of service, and they're actually keeping up with the score instead of keeping up with the sermon. They're keeping up with the stats of the football game during service. But, my thing is, I think even though it's a football thing, I think that it's deeper than that. And what I mean by that is, let's just go with what I love to talk about, relationships.
Okay.
If you have someone that's neglecting their mate during football season, more than likely football season is not the only time that they're neglecting them. Because I honestly believe that if you have a mate that is understanding and they are, in the knowledge or in the loop of what you're passionate about, if you're giving them the time that they deserve the rest of the time of the week, I don't see why they would have an issue with you dedicating some time to what you love, which is football. But if you're neglecting them all other times, then football is just another time where you're not giving them the time that they want or that they deserve. And so it's definitely about balance. It's definitely about balance.
So it's a symptom of an underlying problem that they need to really talk about. And that happens a lot of times. We're yelling about the milk yet again, but really the milk is not the problem.
Right.
We're really yelling about some other issue. Well, Wanda says, I love me some football, but it doesn't consume my life. Thank God for On Demand, which allows you to handle your business and watch it later. And yes, that's true. But some people
Now, watching it on demand is definitely not the same.
It's not the
as
same.
No, it's not. I don't agree. I
It's
agree.
not. It's not. Because first of all, by the time you probably can get to your TV to watch it, everybody else has spoiled it for you. You already know how it's going to end. So it's not the same.
I remember my dad used to say stuff to, this is years and years and years ago. I don't even think you could do this now, but he's like, don't talk to me, don't tell me anything. I want to go home and watch the game. But I think now with social media and the way things just float around, it's really hard to do that. It's really, really hard to do that. Oh, here we go. Valerie says, to the cowboy haters, well,
Here we go.
to the cowboy haters. Yep. And then let's see, who else has something to say?
What did she say to the cowboy?
Right.
She said, well, and she put a bunch of stars.
Oh.
Something that they
Then
do
she
not
said,
have.
you got to have somebody to hate on.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Sometimes you do.
You're right.
You got to have somebody. And now here is a man who actually says this. This is what Terrence says. Well, this is one I'll have to sit out on. I'm one of those rare guys that's not big on sports. I don't even have a special team, basketball or football. I'm that guy you should be worried about if you neglect your lady during the sports season.
Oh, wow.
Whoa. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for all of y'all that ain't got no balance out there, Terrence might be.
Yeah, he's around there.
We are all into balance over here.
Yes, you need to be balanced because you're probably too young to know about this, but there was a song. It was called The Cleanup Woman.
I remember.
Yeah, the cleanup woman is a woman too. She takes all the love you girls leave behind.
That's right.
The reason why I know so much about her is because she cleaned up on a man of mine. Not mine, but this woman was in the song. And so, you have to be aware of that. You have to prioritize and think about what's really important to you, because if your mate is feeling neglected over football or anything else, you have to address that before it really becomes quite problematic.
And some people, and especially because you brought up social media, we're living now in a time where memes are seeming to be very popular, and that's where people take a picture of something and they add their own caption to it.
And that's called a meme.
It's called a meme. Some people call it a meme. It's not a meme. It's a meme.
Spell it.
Just M-E-M-E.
Okay.
But it's meme.
All right, meme. Okay. Learn something new.
The thing is, some people get so carried away with it that they make offensive memes that actually extend past football. I mean, for them, it's just a football meme.
Oh, I've seen that, like a dog using the bathroom on top of
Well, not even just that, but just to kind of get even more deep about it, there's a meme on Facebook where it's of the Cowboy Stadium. And the meme says, Cowboy Stadium, the biggest gay bar in America. The problem with that is that you may want to be funny or humorous towards someone that is on an opposing team,
right?
But you could actually start becoming offensive to
other
groups of people,
right?
And so we definitely have to be careful that we don't get so carried away with it that we find ourselves creating other rivals outside of football.
You're right. You're right. Because some of those things I see on Facebook, I'm like, wow, that's a little over the top, and I think especially for a male-dominated event,
right? And
we know that you have a lot of testosterone going, and not everyone can handle the ribbing or the memes or the name calling. Everybody doesn't take that in stride, and you have to really, really be careful and watch for when is this person going to go over the edge and go to their car and come back and shoot everybody up, because that's the world we're living in right now. And so sometimes, we have to call a stop to
Right.
it.
And see, me, I pay attention to signs because, like,
Okay.
if, for example, if me and a person, we're cracking jokes on each other's team and, you know, we're kind of going back and forth, and then all of a sudden the person kind of
They
starts
stop.
to get quiet a
Yeah,
little
they
bit.
stop laughing and
Right.
they start pondering.
Then at that point, you know, okay, they're tired of playing, so let me
Yeah,
just,
let me
you know,
stop.
let me just stop
Yeah.
before this goes overboard.
And it's just like when you were a child and you start off with that play fighting.
Right.
And then all of a sudden that person hits you just a little bit too hard.
Oh, yeah.
And now it's a real fight. And so, you know, the teachers would always say, no play fighting. You know, no, just don't even do it because you don't know where everybody's limit is.
Right.
And
So-
now you're talking about grown
So when Dallas is playing Pittsburgh, are you allowing Dallas team to enter your household to
Well-
enjoy this game?
Now, you know what? And, you know, I'm the type of person, I believe in, you know, being honest. The last time the Steelers played Dallas, we lost to them, actually.
So did you kick everyone out immediately, or were you just calling your friends,
they
or
were-
were you turning off your phone?
Everybody had to go.
Everybody.
Everybody had to go. Put the food down, get out. But, I mean, you know, for me, like, I have quite a few friends that are Dallas Cowboy fans, and fortunate for me, I have people that know how to have healthy, you know,
Good, clean
competitive,
fun.
good,
Good
clean
competitive
fun. You know,
relationship,
it
yeah.
never gets to the point where, you know, it's getting out of hand. We love to crack jokes, and we crack on each other's team. And right now, as it pertains to winning, when Dallas says, well, we beat y'all the last time we played y'all, you know, then at that point, I don't want to talk anymore.
You're done. You're done.
I'm done. I'm done with the
See,
conversation.
that's not right. That is
I
not
get quiet.
You're
and
quiet.
so that means
And your wife knows not to mess with you there. She's like, wait, let's let him breathe a little bit.
that is so wrong. Preacher Tim has been saying some really negative, awful, and terrible things about Dallas Cowboy. I was going to say cheerleaders, but that's wrong.
Yeah, we
Dallas
can go. We can go with
Cowboys.
that. We can go with that.
About the Dallas Cowboys. And my sister loves the Dallas Cowboys, so she's going to get you whenever she...
And we want to hear from some of you guys. When
Yeah,
you get a
so if
chance.
any of you actually want to say something back to him, he's here, and I am out of the line of fire, so hey, you know, you can
You're not going
say
to
whatever.
You're not
yeah.
going to share this.
I'm not going to share this because I have not said
You're not
anything.
co-signing?
I have not said anything negative about any of the teams. My sister thought, she said, oh, you should wear a football jersey. And I said, no, I want to remain neutral. So I do have a football shirt, but it has nobody's name on it. It's just like cute, and that's it. It has like a number, and you know, I go for whoever has on the best outfit, whoever's winning, whoever has like the best party. That's who I go for. So if they're saying like, oh, the Titans, which I do think if you're from Tennessee,
yeah,
you
gotta
should
go with
support the
home team a
Titans.
little bit.
Yeah, you have to.
A little bit anyway.
You know, and so I think you should support the Titans if, you know, no, a lot of bit, not just a little bit.
Oh, you mean not especially if you know they're going to play a team that they might win?
If they
You
play,
should support them because you're a Tennessean.
well, if they
Yeah.
play Pittsburgh, it's a no-go.
See,
Regardless.
it's that attitude.
So
It's that attitude.
have you seen, share some of your experience when you have been out at a gaming event?
Right.
What was it
Yeah.
that you witnessed that made you say,
Right.
this is
It's
definitely
crazy.
something I'm going to bring up one day?
Right. Well, and actually, Randa helped me to choose this topic because we just noticed that all of a sudden in social media, there's an influx of information and references to football teams. And so we're like, you know, these people are really fanatics. And then we started talking about the incident that happened last year at one of the local clubs here where some people were injured or shot following one of these
Right.
parties. And so at first when she said, you should talk about that, I thought, no, that's too fluffy. But then when we really started thinking about it, we said, you know, if it leads someone to shoot another person, then this can be a serious issue for some people.
Right.
Because we're talking about controlling yourself, anger control, knowing how to resolve conflict, knowing how to prioritize things in your life so that you can do the things you want to do, which if you like sports, you should be able to enjoy them, but also keeping everything in perspective.
Right.
And there are many of us who have a problem with keeping anything in perspective.
Right. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier, that, it's deeper than just football, like you said with the incident outside of the club. If somebody shoots somebody, over words over a football game that neither one of them are playing in, that they're just watching on TV.
Exactly.
Then, that's an indication that it's not the football that makes them that way. They just have some aggression issues in general that they need to deal with, because there's no way that a game that you're not playing, that, that you're not being paid to go out on the field and play, there's no reason why something should make you, behave in
Get
that
to
manner.
that point.
Right.
I agree with that. She was talking with someone, lining up people for her show, and some of the people that she spoke with when she was talking about some sporting events, they were so angry about this particular person losing or this team losing. They were like, if I ever see that person, I'm going to slap them in the face, or I want to kill them. I want to hit them. And I'm thinking, wow, this is not even, you're not on the field. You're not a part of it. You're not the person who's hitting the ball or taking the punch or batting the ball or whatever you do, running up and down the court, field, street, whatever you run up and down. So, but to get that upset, to really feel that way, and sometimes people get so upset they want to put profanity all on the Facebook and all that kind of stuff, and it's like, is it that serious? So explain to me, is it that, am I missing something here? Is it that serious?
Well, for some people it is.
Okay.
Well, this weekend is going to be an example of, two rival teams getting together. And from what I can see, there really hasn't been any violence at all. And I was just trying to look up to see which is the Southern Heritage Classic that's happening this weekend. And every year, even though they're a big rival team, they at least can get together. And not that I unless you heard something. I think it's a peaceful example of two rival teams getting together. And the organization being able to control, violence getting out of control, because it is pretty packed,
right?
And
it's definitely packed.
They seem to have like a huge tailgate party, so that's kind of like the big thing for them. So, and usually that's where the violence comes in. It's probably less in the stadium, and it's more out where the tailgating is going on.
Well, I don't know. I've gone to it for many years, and maybe I'm going to say 10 years back, maybe there was some violence, not necessarily at the game, but like in the city or something like that occurred. And I think that maybe occurs just because you have an influx of people who don't know each other. Yeah. And they kind of, things happen like that.
And they have access to things that won't be available in the stadium. So you're eating more, you're drinking more.
Right,
you
exactly.
have, your personal things, whichever you bring.
Right.
And then that can, like having too much of your team accessories might clash with your neighbor.
That's true. You're
so,
right,
and that could create the problem. So,
right.
Connecticut is where, I lived for a good period of time. And I know that Yukon was known for the tailgate party. The team, I didn't go to that school, so I could freely speak without feeling guilty.
Right.
The tailgate party was where the party was, and usually they try to bring them into the stadium so they could watch the game, but it never really happened that way.
Yeah, like tailgating is bigger than the game.
Yeah, it's
much
like
bigger.
the game. They were there for the game, but it was actually just to hang out and tailgate.
Right.
So
exactly.
But there would always be that line where you get someone that's had too much, or someone that felt offended, and then you got that crazy personality creating, something that's going to create a problem. But yeah, they were pretty known for, just actually enjoying the game outside of the stadium as opposed to going in.
And I think too, it may depend on the age range of people, because when you're talking about the Southern Heritage Classic, you're talking about a huge number of usually African American professional people.
Right.
A lot of these people graduated from these two colleges, so they may have a little bit more to lose, or at least think they have more to lose than maybe some other crowds that are more diverse. Like, because if you quote unquote cut up, now you're dishonoring your your alum, the school that you graduated from. So maybe that kind of holds them to a higher standard.
And he brought up a good point too. When you talk about turning into a different person, because there are some other things involved, like you said, with drinking, which is nothing wrong with, having a drink, but then you have individuals who don't know when to stop.
Yes.
They cannot hold their alcohol.
At all.
And so now they have some fuel in them that gives
liquid
them
courage.
Right. That gives them the courage to do things and say things that they probably would not say if they were sober. And so sometimes that can also play a big part in how people change when football season comes around, because now they're drinking beer more or whatever it is they like to drink. And, they're around more of their friends that's pumping them up and amping them up to do crazy things. So that can also play a big part.
And for those of you who are out there, 2 martinis, that's just enough.
Yeah.
Maybe 3. It just depends.
Don't go by what I say. But now it's time for our 4-point star. Yay!
Yeah.
Which is something that the Cowboys don't.
See, we're not going to have this place getting blown up because of your negative comments.
That actually came out quicker than I could filter it.
The 4-point star has nothing to do with Cowboys. It has to do with our listeners reaching their personal stars, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, Cowboys are probably trying to reach a personal star.
I thought he was going to say that's exactly what I meant. Okay, I instigated.
Our 4-point star for today is play. Let's say that together. Play. And let's spell it together. Play. Play. Because in the game of life, everybody wants to play. Everybody wants to be considered a valuable player. And to your family and to your spouse or your loved one or your mate, you certainly want to be the most valuable player. So everybody wants to play. P, prioritize your life. You can do it all, but you cannot do it all at the same time. You can't. You can do everything you want to do in life, but you have to do first things first, second things second. So you really have to make time for play by doing all the work that you need to do first. And I think what happens when people feel neglected is because our priorities have gotten a little out of whack.
Right.
And we need to keep the priorities in order, because everybody deserves the pursuit of happiness in life. So nobody's saying, hey, you shouldn't watch football all day Sunday if that's what you want to do. I'm sure the preachers don't like that. But if that's what you want to do after you go to church on Wednesday, let's make some other choices there. But you have to prioritize your life. L, learn to be honest about your needs and wants. And let me tell you what I mean by that. A lot of people, they don't tell you up front what they need, what they like. When they're on those dates that you're talking about, a lot of guys don't say, now listen, when football season comes or whatever, duck hunting or whatever you do, when that comes, I'm not really going to see you a whole lot. So you need to figure out what you're going to do. That's not something that people say, nor do women sit there and say, well, if I don't see you in a week's time, I'm going to lose my mind and file for divorce.
Right.
Like they're not honest about how much time they really want, how much time they really need. They will cover it up, like do stuff like go to church, but really they're watching the game on their phone or listening to something else. Those things are lies.
Yes.
People.
Yes.
They are not true. You're not being true to yourself. You're not being true to the people who are around you. So it might be better just to fess up and talk about what your real needs and wants are with the people around you so that you can honestly come up with a game plan so that everybody can get the things they want to have in life. A, always keep things in perspective. When we're looking at the whole perspective of life, what does it really mean if your team loses? In the whole scheme of things.
Right.
When you keep it in perspective like that, now you're going to stay a human that other people want to be around. Yeah, it's bad. Maybe you want your team to win, but in the whole scheme of life, how important is that? You have to remember there's some places on earth that haven't even heard of football. Can you believe it? But it's true. There are those places. So you have to keep things in perspective. What's happening right now is not always the most important thing. Lastly, why? Yearn for harmony, not discord. If you really yearn for harmony in your life, that will make you want to compromise because you want everybody to come together and move together in a way that creates beautiful music and not in a way that clashes. So that means men and women, people who are out of control and people who are in control will get together and compromise. That means you get a little bit of what you like, I get a little bit of what I like, and we're both, fairly happy. And that way you have harmony, not discord. You have discord when you're too aggressive and you're not respecting other people's rights and you want everything to go your way. Right. That is going to create discord. So you need to yearn for harmony. So remember, in life's game, everyone wants to play. P-L-A-Y, play. P, prioritize your life. L, learn to be honest about your needs and wants. A, always keep things in perspective. And Y, yearn for harmony, not discord. Yay!
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Players. So when we come back in our second hour, we've already been here for an hour, we will get into our Dr. K's yays and nays. And we will also look at tonight's technique. We are at Dr. K's yays and nays. So let me read to you what I got here this week. And I just had it up. Okay, here it is. I have to say this correctly. The right, inflection.
Oh, yeah.
Dear Dr. K, right now I am so pissed. Can you say pissed?
I guess
right.
You can say that. Yes.
Right now I'm so pissed. I want to punch my fiance in the face. We just had a baby. My fiance is a sports nut for basketball and football. When he was supposed to be watching our child, he is watching, quote, the game, end quote, and totally ignores the baby. I can't get any rest and can't do everything. Should I tell him it's us or sports? You choose, yay or nay. P.S. Last time, the baby hit her head on the table because he wasn't watching and the baby had to get stitches. So she's pretty mad. So wow. Facebook friends, what do you say? Yay or nay? Should she tell him it's us or sports? You choose. So what are your thoughts about that, Preacher Tim?
I definitely think, number one, that those are all signs of a Cowboy fan. I just believe that, especially the part about the baby hitting her head and having to get stitches, that lets me know that he's a Cowboy fan.
See,
Because I mean,
that's so
priorities all out of order. So that right there is the first sign. But no, actually, on a serious note, I definitely think that, you know, that you, once again, it's about prioritizing. You know,
right?
If the baby was able to fall and hit her head, then clearly, you know, he wasn't, you know, paying attention to what was more important at that time. Now, I don't want to be, you know, of course, too judgmental about the situation because we don't know exactly what all went on. But at the same time, there's definitely some signs of neglect there, you know, if that was able to occur due to him watching the game.
Okay. So you're saying that maybe she should kind of confront him a little bit about it?
Absolutely.
All right.
But I don't think it should get to the point where it's, you know, it's us or sports. I don't think it should get to that.
So you're at nay. Right. She should not say that. Randa, in the ring with Randa. Cowboy lady.
Oh,
all
my
right.
God. Oh, my
Yay.
God. But you see what she came in here on, though, right? On crutches.
See, she's going to get you. Randa's very aggressive. She's going to get you.
I'm just going to let you say that.
I appreciate that.
Well, let me tell you what Marvetta says about this particular subject. She says, so if she marries him, this will be her life. Now, she should decide, is this really what she wants, and deal with it. She did say he's her fiance, right? People get married and know what type of person he or she is before they marry and think they are going to do a 360-degree change. Oops, not. So Marvetta is saying, hey, you need to know about people before you marry them. Elmer says, work things out, come to terms, somehow. A game is worth losing. A marriage, you have a child, so it can have an effect for life. So it sounds like 3 nays, right? Everybody so far they're saying nay. Don't do that. Okay, Jackie says, no excuse, Dr. K. The child comes first. That child is his priority. That sounds like a yay to me.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Sounds like
she sounds like she's saying, hey, lay down the ultimatum. Then I have Jamie here. Now, Jamie has a lot to say. So we'll get to Jamie in just a few seconds. But what are your thoughts about it? Felix, what do you think about this situation?
I think, you know, the season is a short season, especially if your team's not doing so well. You know,
hint.
And hence, you know, I think you should have the opportunity to enjoy, you know, a separation of, you know, stress. It could be anything. And if it allows your significant other to enjoy some time, maybe make some room for that. As long, you know, I could see if he's not allowing her to do it, you know, or giving time back to the child, but if it's just a game that happens, you know, once a week,
right?
Or you know, they're lucky enough they're twice, you know, you know, and then that should be fine, you know, because it's just that way. But you know, just being fanatic about it, you know, like just on the sport itself and neglecting the wife, neglecting the child, then that's something.
That's a problem.
Yeah, that's a problem. But you know,
so have anybody admitted to being a fanatic?
No, everyone here, pretty much what we're doing at this point, Randa, is we're reading Dr. K's yays and nays. Okay. And this one basically says, right now, I'm so pissed I want to punch my fiance in the face. We just had a baby. My fiance is a sports nut for basketball and football. When he was supposed to be watching our child, he was watching the game and totally ignored the baby. I can't get any rest and can't do everything. Should I tell him it's us or sports? You choose, yay or nay? P.S. Last time, the baby hit her head on the table because he wasn't watching the game and had to get stitches.
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
Dr. K and
Yes, ma'am.
Felix and Stanley and Tim, before the baby was here, I think there may have been some red flags or some signs. She just didn't pay any attention to it. And now that the baby is here, it's
illuminated.
Right.
Yes.
And so, I mean, yes, that's a big issue. The baby fell, this, that, and the other, you know, and the baby could have gotten really, really hurt.
Right.
But sometimes, and you hear a lot of parents talking about, I looked to the right, in 5 seconds, my daughter just fell.
That's
So,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, we were not there to actually see what happened.
Right.
The Cowboys probably made a touchdown, which
I doubt
caused
it.
him to, which caused him to jump up. And, unfortunately, the Steelers,
I could see that he lost all ability to think.
Yes,
'cause that
all of
doesn't
his
happen.
composure.
But you know what? And
He
but you
lost
know what?
all
And
of
can I
his
tell you
composure.
something about that?
Yes.
What that means, if that did happen that way,
Uh-huh.
what that means
Oh.
is that
Okay.
he's so not accustomed to his team getting a touchdown that he has to act that way. But teams that's accustomed to
Oh, my goodness.
their players getting touchdowns, we don't act like that.
Well,
because,
obviously she's frustrated. 'Cause,
Yes.
And
Yes.
it just,
it-
children are going to get hurt.
Yeah.
And no matter what happens. I mean, because that's part of having a child.
And I'm thinking maybe she just doesn't like sports anyway.
Right.
And that's going to be a big and a huge issue, because if you're with a man and you're planning on marrying him and he loves sports and you hate sports, I don't know how that's going to work. And
Right.
you're going to have to come somewhere in the middle, at least act like you like it. Or ask him, well, look, can I go buy, an outfit the day of the
Right.
game?
Or
You have to
something.
come up with something.
But it goes back to something Dr. K said
Yes.
earlier, and that is being honest.
Yes.
If you know that, it's because sometimes when we in the first portion of a relationship during the lovey-dovey stages, we pretend to be
We're decked
right,
out and all that
and
stuff.
we pretend to be cool
pretending.
with things that we're not cool with,
Yes,
and then later
exactly.
on down the road, it's I hate this and I hate that, but this is not what you were saying
At first.
At first.
And you thinking because of your looks or whatever, it's
Right.
going to change
that person.
Right.
And I have heard that from men and women. Men and women, they would say, well, now she did tell me at the beginning that she was a career woman, and when she decided to pursue her career, even though I wanted her home, I was surprised, but that is what she said. Well, really? Well, why did you still get with her? I thought she would change. So people, will make these commitments to each other thinking they can change the other person. And we really have to be honest with ourselves and honest with that person that we're there with that person most of the time. But what I hear, well, I'll get to what I'm going to say in a few minutes. Let me tell you what Jessica says.
Okay.
Most of the time, the games come on later on in the evening. So tell him he is responsible for getting her ready for bed and fed. That way he's involved, you get a break, and he can watch the game in peace. That's what Jessica says.
But that's not necessarily true though, because
Okay.
they do have games that come on early afternoon and things of that nature. So the schedule isn't always the
And
same.
then you have replays,
Yeah.
which means football may be on early in the morning.
And all day
And
long.
all day
All
long.
day
Yeah.
long. Well, Best One says he has to get his priorities in order. It's just a game. It's a hobby for those who love sports. There's nothing wrong with that. It does not take long to put the game on record to be watched later. So that's, what somebody else has to say. Do you have a, oh, wow. This is,
Yes, from Apostle George E. Baker.
okay, from Apostle George Baker. Let me put my glasses on for this one. He says, men become fanatic sports fans because we are conquerors by nature. For that reason, we get a vicarious thrill when our favorite team wins, and we take it personally when they lose. Most men feel they have already accomplished the goal of conquering the woman in his life, so his pursuit turns to other areas. Because his team is in pursuit of the playoffs or the Super Bowl, it gives him an outlet for his competitive nature. I recommend to any woman that she continually makes her man pursue and court her. That's what I was going to say. When she does that, a man will turn off the Super Bowl or World Series to chase her.
And you know what? And I want to say
I
this
think
to
that's
that.
good.
Especially,
Great
you know,
advice.
and I would say this, you know, only to those who are married, because of course, you know, I have to still, you know, be
You're gonna go
integrous
with-
in what I promote. But
Right.
what I would say is, you know, especially to wives who may not necessarily be into sports, whatever, if you know that your husband has a favorite team, then you know you may want to put on a jersey that's a little short.
Oh,
You
Cowboys
know,
jersey, yes.
definitely not. And you know, put on a jersey that's a little short, and you know, during commercial, you know, breaks or whatever, you know, kind
Do a
of
little
come in,
football dance.
right? Do a little cheerlead, you know,
Bring in some hors d'oeuvres.
right? You know, bring in some hot wings, some
Cowboys hors
meatballs or
d'oeuvres.
something,
Okay.
right? Never that, but you know, something that would make him a little aroused, you know, so that way maybe during commercial break there's a little
He can pay
playtime
attention
going
to her as
on, and
well.
right,
Right.
and so yeah, definitely, it's a way
Yeah.
that, you know, there's a way that we can involve ourselves in our mate's interest, even if it's not that big of a deal to us.
Right.
You know, for example, if she's giving you time during football season, on the days that she goes shopping, if walking around through a mall is not your thing, find a way to still involve yourself in that, because it's about sacrifice. So sacrifice yourself for her just like she sacrifices herself for you when it comes to your interest. So there's a way that you can get involved. Yes.
Well, let me tell you what. I'll get to you, Randa.
Okay.
1 second. What Roland says, we have DVR now. Take care of your child and watch the game later. Shaking my head. So Roland is serious. He's like, look, bro, don't even do it. Then Joey says, sounds like the child watching is going to be mostly her duties now. She has she concerned that in her thoughts to move on. She sounds Jay to me. She knew he liked sports. Get it together and stay together. Ooh, he's saying, come to Jesus. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. He's like, you are Jay. Let's see what else. Okay, Stephanie says, go watch the movie War Room. God bless. Has anybody seen that movie?
No.
I don't know
I've
what that's
heard
about.
people talking about
Have they
it.
said some good things?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Maddie says, your first concern is your baby. Due to the fact you are engaged and living together, these are ways you see before getting married. If the games are a priority to him, then why would you marry him or take a chance on or take a chance for your baby to be another number of child unconcernment? I definitely would say you and the baby leave him alone.
Oh my God.
One more thing. Next time it might be death. So
I
some
think
people take this very seriously
I think
now.
they're being a little bit too hard, especially seeing that we weren't there. Like, you know, like she said earlier, we weren't there. We don't know. Like she said, that could have been a split second thing. I mean, you can blink and something happened just that
And
quick.
Tim, it could have been a split second. And you know, how sometimes we tend to change the statement a little bit to make it more
Absolutely.
than what it really is to try to get your point across. But I'm just thinking we weren't there.
And from the sounds of it, she wasn't there either.
I don't know. We only have what the note says. And, you know, Milton says, I would be embarrassed to say that a football game was the reason something happened. Wow. And not cool. That's what Milton. Now, Jamie says, Dr. K, you know I like and respect you, but I'm going to blast the listener and the subject a bit here. Send him packing because he watches too much football and at home. Don't have to tell you, dudes out there are getting into real mess. Next, don't know him personally, But if, let me see, he is your man, no doubt a real man, you would not have chosen him. So I know the real source of your anger over this is you think he left the child in danger. I get this as a dad, but just in case in that case, you have a point. May I suggest if it was washing the dishes or doing yard work or something like that, the same could have happened. Kids fall. Now, if the kid fell because the child was being neglected or because he was stoned out of his mind or with another woman, then that's a different problem.
Right.
But, it's easier for me to speak up than some of your guy friends and Dr. K's listeners. But you're not likely to get an earful from them. But I say that you need to stay together. God bless all the friends and family in Memphis. So it's, you know what? From what I'm hearing, at first I thought it was a lot of women who were saying they seem to take it really, really seriously. Like it seemed like there's kind of a big dichotomy. Either people were taking it very seriously or people were saying like, nah, it's not that serious. And I tend to agree with this person about the underlying anger. But I'm going to let you say what you wanted to say first, Randa. Then we'll take another break, and then I'll say what I feel about the yay or nay. What were you going to say?
I just wanted to add to what Tim was talking about.
Yes.
About there's compromise and doing some things during the football game. Okay,
Right.
What if you have a house full of people? Now, I was listening to Adrienne Ballon, and she mentioned that when she and her fiance had a Super Bowl party, she's really not into football, but she wanted to make it fun.
Okay.
So she had all of his friends, girlfriends or wives, they dressed up in sexy football gear.
Okay.
And so she said it kept the guys not just focused into the football, but also focused into their mate. Right. So it became a fun group activity.
It was more like an event rather than just watching the football game.
Watching football, but in that person's defense, we still got to take into account with them, there was a baby involved.
Yes.
So are they going to have a babysitter there every time there's a football game, or are they going to come up with some type of parameters when football games are on?
Right.
Yeah.
For the safety of the child.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yes, that's a very, very good point. We read one of the listeners sent in a dilemma, and basically she was saying that she was so angry that she wanted to punch her fiance in the face because they just had a baby. He's a sports nut for basketball and football, and when he's supposed to be watching their child, he's watching the game and totally ignores the baby. She feels like she can't get any rest and can't do anything. She wants to know, should she tell him, basically giving him an ultimatum, it's us or sports, you choose, yay or nay. And then she says, last time the baby hit her head on the table because he wasn't watching her and had to get stitches. So far it seems like it is almost like a females against males. A lot of the women are taking this very, very seriously. A few men are. And then some men are saying, hey, it's a game. You need to get over it. So, Randa, you said you had something that you wanted to say.
Yes. As far as with a person being a fanatic during the football season, I have encountered people that are fanatics during sports season. It goes from basketball all the way to baseball,
badminton, ice skating,
boxing, what's the
hockey.
other game? Hockey. What's the other one? Checkers and what's the other?
Chess.
Spades and chess and all the
cards.
Dominoes.
Anything where there's a competition.
You could just ask one question and say, so who won? And they go from 0 to a zillion, you know?
Exactly.
And you looking and you trying to figure out, well, Did I ask anything wrong? And then they're telling you don't know what you're talking about. You're not capable of asking a question about that sport. You're female, and so I guess with that particular topic,
right,
it can really be broad because you have people that are fanatics with their attitudes when it comes to sports.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Very
meaning
much so.
If their team is on the losing streak, you better not ask them anything about their team.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now with me, by me being a beautiful Cowboy fan, that's a beautiful team. Even if
I agree with everything you said.
Even if we lose,
you still have a good attitude.
I'll still have on my blue and white. I'll still have a nice personality, and we could talk about the game. It's just a game,
right?
But there are some people, they're betting their last on these games,
and therein lies the problem.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times, I think a lot of them I'm not going to say a lot of people, but some people are just so crazy when it comes to their particular sport because they may be placing bets that they cannot afford.
Yes, they cannot cover. And that's when we're talking about now you're being inappropriate. Your priorities are wrong. You are taking the game out of its place and you are making the game part of your livelihood. Because I know people who run down to the casino and they're like, man, I need to pay a bill. I got to go down to the casino and hit.
Right.
That's an inappropriate use
Absolutely.
of that. That's supposed to
risk.
be a fun pastime, not a way for you to pay your bills. So I agree. If you're putting that type of pressure on the game, yes,
Absolutely.
you're going to turn into an enraged, crazy person.
And, I want to say something. You have two words. You have football and then you have season.
Yeah.
The key word there is season.
Yes.
And when you look at it from the fanatic standpoint and the mate of the fanatic, what I would say to the mate is, now I'm not saying if you have other underlying issues. I'm saying if your only issue is your mate's love and passion for sports, don't throw your relationship away over something that only lasts a season.
Right.
But then it's the same way to the actual fanatic that's betting their money, losing their paychecks, or neglecting other things that take a priority. Don't neglect priority for something that only lasts a season.
Very good. I agree with you.
I do too.
And my answer for this listener is yay and nay. And let me tell you what I mean, because she asked the question, should I tell him it's us or sports you choose? My question to her would be, or my statement to her is, no, you choose. Because before you give an ultimatum to someone, you have to give that ultimatum to yourself.
Absolutely.
Because you then have to be prepared for what the answer is going to be. And, when I hear words like pissed, punch, I'm so mad, that is a lot of anger.
Absolutely.
And anger is an emotion that will mask a lot of other emotions. And so underneath that emotion of anger, what I see here is a lot of fear. She's afraid that he's not going to be the husband that she thought he was going to be. Maybe he's not living up to all of her expectations, or because for this one thing to just put her over the edge, other things had to be happening. So rather than giving an ultimatum to him, you need to give an ultimatum to yourself.
Yes.
Do I want this relationship or not? And once you make that decision, then you'll know the way to go. Because really, when you want something, it doesn't matter what happens. So if she wants this relationship, then even though the baby fell, hit her head, and had to get stitches, you two will figure out a way to bring it all back together and stay a couple and try to make sure that doesn't happen again. But if you don't want the relationship, it does not matter what compromises you come up with.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. So, yes, you should ask that question, but no, not of him. You need to ask that question of yourself.
But you know something, Dr. K?
Yes, ma'am.
I think the question may be very hard for her to answer because of perceptions now.
What do
you
you
have
mean?
so many women throwing out to women that are single, women with no children, that something is wrong with them. You know, like, I've seen it. I saw it on YouTube and or Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Oh, please, they're not the standard.
I'm not saying that they're
intelligence.
I'm not saying that they're the standard, but you have so many people watching them, and then you having people with low self-esteem that's married or in marriages that are not fit, and they want to say to women that have great jobs, that are not married, that do not have children, they want to send a message that is something wrong with you. It could be you haven't met that mate, or that mate has not found you yet, and you're not willing to just accept anything that walks through the door.
Absolutely.
So you're saying that maybe she is afraid to even look at the unfitness of her relationship because she doesn't want people to look at her as being unfit. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying she may already know that
it's not right.
that is not right.
Right.
And she may be afraid to say, I don't want this. Because of everybody else that's in her ears stating to her, well, you know, you should, girl, at least you got a man. Well, it's not good if you got a man and
It's a piece of a man.
Right.
and
You only
it's
have
not
his toe.
It's not even a piece.
Yes, exactly.
You know, so
Yeah.
it's a big picture.
Right.
And I think something is being left out of the picture, and she's making just that one little bitty incident. Now, I'm not saying that it's right, because I'm for the safety of a child.
Right.
But I would prefer to hear the full story.
Well, you don't get the full story. You only got this paragraph.
Well, we
and
just
that's
got
it.
the paragraph. So I'm giving scenarios of what could possibly be going on in this situation, and I hope and pray that she makes the best decision for she and her child.
Yes, and I think when we come down to it, it is, yay, you need to ask that question. Nay, not of him, but yay, of you.
That's
Ask yourself the question, is this what you want? And I believe once you ask yourself that question and you answer honestly, then you will be able to move forward in the appropriate direction.
Absolutely.
So that is my answer to Dr. K's yays and nays for tonight. And wow, it is 7:17. We're almost out of time. Okay, so tonight's technique. Every night we talk, I like to give you a little something you can take with you into real life, something you can put into play in your real life that is a psychological technique that I actually teach to my clients and in groups and with children. So, you know, listeners out there, you really should be writing checks of like $10 and $20 and sending it to me, because I charge people for this.
Yeah.
But anyway, tonight's technique is called an I message. And we've talked about this before, but I think it's always good to reiterate these techniques, because a lot of times when you hear it the first time, you hear it, but it may not stick. An I message really helps you to talk about how you feel and what your needs are and what you want. And a lot of times we don't spend time doing that. An I message is all about you. And sometimes, especially in relationships and especially women, we shy away from something being all about us because we're told that it should never be all about us. But your feelings, wants, needs, and desires can only be about you because they're yours. And you need to be able to articulate them clearly and often. And I believe that your mate will understand you better, and their behavior will be more acceptable to you because they're understanding what's out there and what you're asking for. So the way the iMessage goes is it has 3 parts. The first part of it is your feeling. In this instance, we're going to specifically talk about football and being a football fanatic.
Okay.
So, honey, I really feel neglected. Oftentimes that's a feeling that people have when their mate turns away from them during football season. Honey, I really feel neglected, or I really feel tired, because you're going to state why you feel that way. I really feel neglected because when I ask you to watch the baby, you're looking at football instead. The last part is what you want. And I really want you to choose a time when you can watch the baby without being distracted by something else. And that's really clear. Honey, I feel neglected. I feel upset, and I feel afraid because when you're supposed to be watching the baby, you're doing something else. And I really want you to choose a time when you can totally watch the baby. Now, I'm not saying he's going to do it, but that's a great conversation starter.
Okay.
Because now everybody is clear about what the problem is. And the problem here is what?
Are you talking about
The problem here is she's upset because he's not looking at the baby.
Okay.
Basically, when he's supposed to be doing that. And she feels neglected, upset, afraid, and she wants him to pick a time when he can totally look at the baby and not be distracted by other things.
Do you think that's going to be easy for him to do?
It doesn't matter because
Okay.
this technique is about starting a conversation.
Okay.
If you never start the conversation, then it definitely will be hard
Okay.
because you never talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now you have to start the conversation. This may be a conversation that takes a couple of weeks for them to finish up.
Okay.
Because, he may say, okay, well, I'm going to choose this time, and they try it, and it still doesn't work.
Okay.
It could be that maybe, she's picking a time that's too long for him. It could be he has ADHD and he just really can't pay attention to anything. You just never know what's going
that's a
on
good
with
point.
people.
That's a
You
good
never
point,
know,
Dr. K.
but you have to start those conversations. Unlike people think you grow out of ADHD. No, you do not grow out of it. You learn to manage it better. So, if your husband has ADHD or your wife, they may not be the people that need to look at the little bitty baby that might hit their head at any second. They may be the person that needs to run back and forth to the store to get the diapers and the this and the that and the that.
Okay.
So sometimes you have to look at, who is best for a particular job within your family or within your relationship.
Okay.
So that is tonight's technique.
Oh, yeah. I think it's a good
That's
one.
a great technique,
Absolutely.
Dr. K.
All right. Wow, it's 7:22. Woo. Okay. So everybody gets 10 seconds to shine here at On the Couch with Dr. K. So we're going to go around, and in your 10 seconds to shine, you get to tell us anything you want us to know about you. And Randa, since you were last, I will now make you first. The
Okay.
last shot.
I'll be first. There you go.
Well, once again, Dr. K, you have given us a great topic that's going to help us be better citizens, better to our mates, better to the community. And a lot of the techniques that you're giving, I hope our listeners are actually taking them in, because people have to pay for that. And these particular techniques will help you overcome some situations that you really don't know how to get out of. So I want to thank you for doing that for the whole United States, because people are listening everywhere to this particular station. And once again, I hope you all will tune in every Tuesday
Yes.
But
and Thursdays now.
Thursday,
from
too.
10 a.m.
Yeah.
until 12 p.m. We do a replay of this live broadcast. Thursdays, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Yes.
And make sure you tune in September the 22nd in the ring with Randa.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be talking about some
Yay.
boxing. We'll be boxing it out. And I would love for you all to call in. I would love for you to come by. If you just need to come by to give your statement.
Come by in love and peace,
Right.
not in aggression.
But once again, Dr. K, a job well done.
Well, thank you so much. In the ring with Randa. Appreciate that. Yay. And moving right along to Preacher Tim.
Absolutely. Once again, I'm Preacha Tim. That's Preacha. Tim, you can like me on Facebook, or you can actually send me a personal friend request. I just want to say that tonight has been awesome. I've had a great time. I've actually learned a lot as it pertains to relationships. As I stated, I'm only 35, so I still have a lot to learn. So this was definitely an awesome time for me, and also just an opportunity. I've actually experienced a first tonight. I've never had any of my personal music played on an FM station before.
Oh, yeah.
So
okay.
that was
All
definitely,
right. We're the first bilingual
there
station.
you
We're
go.
the first Preacher Tim station.
There you
Yay!
go. So I'm definitely just taking it all in. And once again, if you enjoy any of the music that you heard, the album, you can look it up on iTunes, Amazon, or Google Play. That's Preacha Tim, and the title of the album is Love Talk. Or if you want a hard copy, you can go to Spin Street Music at Poplar and Highland.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
$20 for that shameless plug. Thank you, Preacher Tim. It has been a delight having you here, and we're going to get you back again real soon.
Definitely.
Cool.
Yeah,
Deal.
definitely. Felix Cordova.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Here we
yeah.
are. And, definitely I enjoy your show. I love sitting here and just listening to what's going on, because there's definitely lessons to be learned. But like everything else, we always have to move on and pay the bills. So to support your show, and as well as our 98.5 New Mix FM, we're doing a fundraiser
cool.
October 11th.
Yes.
That's
the
going to be a
Salsa
Sunday.
Festival.
Yeah, the day before Columbus Day. So hopefully people can come out. It's going to be within the hours of 12 and 9:30. It's Southern Salsa Festival at the Water Tower Pavilion on Broad
Yes.
Street.
Yes,
You could
yes.
check us out on Facebook. You can go to 985newmixfm.org. You could stream us. If you want to stream us, you can go to your iPhone, Android app and download the app, and you can stream us there. Or you can go to TuneIn. So we are a 501c3. There's a donate button there. Don't be shy. We're not offended by anything you send us. It's all tax deductible. And, at least you can say you contributed to supporting local acts and local storylines. We are going to be here for some time, so we want to just let everyone know if they want to meet us all. We will be at the festival. You'll get a chance to see the whole staff.
Yes.
And obviously there's going to be entertainment, live music. There's going to be some salsa dancing.
Salsa dancing and salsa
Thanks to
eating.
Salsa Memphis, they are going to be doing some free lessons.
What?
If you want to
I like
try
that
a little
cost.
bachata, or if you want to get into some salsa, they're going to be giving free lessons twice that day.
That's
There's
so
going to be a
cool.
salsa band. There's going to be DJs. There's going to be mix. So it's not all about salsa, because we are New Mix FM. So you'll be
Right.
able to get a chance to listen to R&B. We have Mike Sweep. We have Hope Claiborne is going to be there. And so there's going to be a lot of things happening. So if you want to keep up to date on what's going on, just check out our Facebook, and we'll be posting. There's celebrity chef Jen that's going to be judging. So
Right.
and if you want to be a part of this, feel free, give us a call at 901-866-9540. I know our lines sometimes get kind of busy and weird, but there's the other line, 901-338-9787. Or you could reach me directly. Just go to info at 985 New Mix FM, or you can reach me, Felix Cordova, at caufp.org.
Okie dokie. Wow. You guys have been absolutely tremendous. This has been a great show. And we are just really pulling it on in because it's 7:28. Oh, my goodness. Okay. So we're at the end of the show. And as always in parting, I wish you a life full of love, peace, and happiness. Remember, if you cannot be in love, then at least try to be peaceful. But if you can't be, if you can't be, in love, then at least try to be peaceful. And if you can't be peaceful, then at least try to be happy. I'm saying this wrong. If you can't be in love, try to be happy. If you can't be happy, then at least try to be peaceful. But when your peace has been disturbed, it's time for you to change your situation. We will see you next week on the radio. You've been On the Couch with Dr. K. I'm your hostess, Dr. K. Thank you for listening, and great show, everybody. Yay. Thank you. See you later. Bye, Periscope people. Bye. Yay. Good job. Good job. We are getting ready to do some verbal sparring. Now, what is the topic today, Randa?
Well, we have several topics that we're going to discuss today. Mm-hmm. The first one deals with the Mayweather versus Berto fight. Okay. Uh-huh. The second one deals with perceptions about Mayweather's retirement. Okay, good. The rise and the comeback of Adrian Broner.
Wow, okay.
Deontay Wilder. Yeah. Will he achieve to be America's greatest love? Okay. And also, if Mayweather decides to come out of retirement to become 50-0, who would you want his opponent to be to make it an epic event?
Oh, so you're asking a lot of titillating questions.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.